They barely got fourth in groups. They start rolling with it. It's when you get in that zone and in that flow, that's what you're looking at.
And we're going to have to see who is going to be in the zone. We've talked about the matchup, but it's time to get it under the way. We have two Chinese teams going head-to-head.
We heard a lot from the video series, and being able to get to know some of the players of Vici Gaming as well as LGD, what better way to get them to know even further as talking to their competitors, talking to Alliance and Insania Boxing. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a rough tournament, but we do really appreciate you bringing your analysis to this. You're pretty hyped for it, right, Insania? I know you're quite close with Fade. You gonna be supporting Vici Gaming here?
Yeah, of course. I've become friends with Fade over the season. He's an amazingly cool guy, and on top of that, he's a very good Dota 2 player, so yeah, I'm really excited to see him here doing so well, and of course I'll be cheering a little bit extra for Vici.
Played against both of the teams a lot in scrims and in tournaments, and sometimes you just get like kind of blown away by their execution and how on point they can be.
Yeah.
So it really comes down to like how well they play more than anything. Yeah.
I think the cool thing about both these teams is that they're a little bit reckless, and when you play against them, you can feel it. You can feel it's not this like controlled style that's very slow paced, where they're just going to slowly try to take control of the game. They want to let you know that they're better than you, and they play in that kind of way. So a matchup like this, where both teams are going to play kind of the same way, I think could be very scary. Either way, like even if you might be the slightly stronger team going into the series, it doesn't really mean much.
And what are you exactly expecting out of the draft in that regard? It sounds like we want to see some aggressive heroes on both sides, and we've kind of started with that in this Leshrac first pick into Centaur Rubik.
I think both of these teams tend to pick a lot of control and stuns. They want to fight constantly. Once you lose control, they want to make sure that they can just kind of ravage over you and just keep going and going and going and never giving you any pause to sort of take it back any map control. So already right now, they pick Centaur and Rubik into Leshrac. I mean, I don't know. What do you think they're going to follow up with?
I mean, it's hard to predict heroes. Like it depends so much on their preferences at this point. I think I didn't really expect PSG.LGD to open Centaur Rubik, but it's a very solid off lane, and it gives them a lot of control, like you said. It's a great reset tool for team fights, and if you've been watching the games now, like the team fights is basically the most important aspect of the game right now. That's where everyone is putting all their focus.
A lot of teams have picked a lot of team fights. I think almost in every game there's like this big major team fight hero. That's like Void. I think Void is super popular now. It's very, even Secret picked Enigma, Void, and Tide in one draft, for example, which we haven't really seen at all from them previously. So.
Yeah.
Tidehunter's been one of the most popular heroes starting at the group stage. I think it was like 5th most picked, and it's going to be a Shadow Shaman for Vici Gaming. But talking about all that team fight, is that part of the reason that I know Blitz told me you guys value stuns really highly?
Oh yeah.
Told me that story about Mickey just literally counting the stuns. Like, is that just a general philosophy with you guys?
Oh, for sure. I think it's the more stuns you have, like the easier the game becomes to play, right? It doesn't matter if you're playing in Sumail mid or if I'm mid, if we're both stun locked until we die. So yeah, I think it just makes Dota easier to play. Also, when you're trying to control the map and you're trying to squeeze out the resources, if you have a lot of lockdown in multiple places, it's easier to control the space, right? But if you need always these 2 specific heroes to be in a spot in order to block the enemy team from farming there, then you're going to have to play a lot better and make sure that you read their moves a lot more correct. And it makes the game harder to play that way.
If basically any 2 heroes on your draft or 3 heroes can kill like anywhere, you make sure that you force the enemy team to play careful.
Yeah.
But if you have a lot of heroes that can't really touch the enemy, I would put it, makes it harder to play the game.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're talking about controlling areas, both when it comes to farm and probably bounty runes as well.
Sure, of course, all these things, yeah. Just controlling the map in general. I'm actually very interested in what Vici has to do here, because I feel like LGD kind of got like a very solid start to the draft with like they can pretty much do anything they want out of this. Whereas LGD, they picked this Leshrac as this kind of like flex hero, and then they immediately pick a hero that almost exclusively is played as a position 4, which means that the Lesh is now most likely going to be either mid or off lane. as I highly doubt that they play at 5. I've seen Paparazzi play it as in one position as well, so almost guaranteed a core left track after like the first 2 heroes.
Yeah, I think it's cool that LED picks Centaur Rubik, which is probably the lane they're gonna run. Rubik on the position 4 with the Centaur off lane, and then Vici plays 2 heroes. I think they have very heavy push,
10 seconds
and I think Centaur is one of those heroes where you kind of wanna be able to sit in a lane. You kind of want to be able to run around and do your own thing until you get your blink or until you get your Vanguard into blink, whatever. And since Vici has so much tower push, I think they should pretty easily be able to force LED's heroes around. So I think it's going to be a lot of fighting already from these 2 heroes, like in the early game. Leshrac wants to push, Rasta wants to push, Centaur wants to be on the other side of the map, kind of not really being there defending towers, and they're going to force him to rotate, and then they're going to fight. Probably around like the safe lane towers, the mid towers.
How do you think that lane matches up as well? I think Rasta Lesh might be their dual safe lane against the Rubik Centaur.
I think it's pretty good for Centaur Rubik. I don't think they will lane Leshrac into Centaur. Centaur has like maybe 30 more base damage or something ridiculous like that. While Rasta is also very hard hitting. It's easy. I think it's easy for the Centaur lane to just kill the Rasta when he walks up. If he walks too far up, he's just gonna get lifted into stun, into kill.
So that's something I actually want to re-emphasize that point, because I think it was so cool. So you're saying like the passive pressure that a Centaur does through winning his lane, through the return and being able to chip down these towers, the way to be able to defeat that is to actually put as much pressure into tower pushing and force him to come fight. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
I think so for sure. The hero does not wanna. He wants to do his own thing. I think he wants to take his own towers and he wants to create his own map space. But if he is forced to go to an area where he can die to the enemy heroes, like a lot of his strength of his being super beefy and like a tower hitter kind of doesn't really work out. So, and Stampede also has a very long cooldown. So if you can like take one fight where they use Stampede, and then you group up and fight again, he's not really going to be able to walk into a team fight and stun somebody. He has to have Stampede or he has to have a blink. Yeah.
So maybe we're going to continue that as Vici Gaming look to be low cooldowns, but they are going to feel good about that Rubik Centaur.
I think you can even see it because they ban Alchemist and Medusa. It's like 2 heroes where you want to shut down very early.
Yep.
And I think they already know that like Vici is going to be the one pressuring them. And then if they on top of that have a Medusa and Alch that farms super fast, while LED has to respond to all the pushes, they're going to get like very outpaced and like outfarmed. And then the 5th hero that's just farming is going to come like smack them 10 minutes later.
Yeah. It's been a pretty, like what Box is talking about, is kind of how you've noticed a lot of these teams playing right now, where you have this, even if you look at the Infamous series earlier today, K1 was just farming jungle with Wraith King until he's level like 20.
Yeah.
While the other 4 heroes are just running at them and putting pressure. And then even though the fights might not go great for you, you have this hero that is basically like your big investment. And once he finally decides to join the game is just free. He's playing with 2 more items than everyone else.
We're going to see the Lion for PSG.LGD, good hero to try and address and burst down that Leshrac and all that damage over time.
Yeah, it also gives you answers at the roster, right? You don't want to sit there and just be shackled forever. So I like it in that aspect as well. I find it interesting that they banned both Nyx and Sven against LGD. I don't know if that's because they feel like the Slash is too squishy into it, but I feel like a hero like Pugna or something could be amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the next bomb is always scary when you run like a squishy hero like Leshrac or anything like that wants to push towers and you get like linked into an Nyx, you can't really do much about it.
That is some serious catch on LGD now, between having Centaur Stampede before, now Lion, now Kunkka as well. And Sadie, you got to be living the dream right now. That's a ton of disables.
No, this is great. I mean, they definitely have a lot of stuns. I'm happy with that. I like it into Fatal Bonds. Like the boat buff is pretty good at reducing the Fatal Bonds bad damage. It's something that you don't really think about when you're playing the game, but once you're boated, you don't really notice bond damage anymore. It becomes so irrelevant. So it's a really good counter pick, and I feel like the thing is these 2 teams must know each other so well, because a lot of the picks that they're picking aren't getting countered, I guess.
It's more like
they're just trying to build their own drafts. Yeah,
they're trying to get their playstyle to work.
Yeah.
And I think that by picking like Lion and Kunkka, at least Kunkka specifically, you have a hero that very early into the game, he hits level 7, he has a lot of damage, he can like run at the tower that Leshrac, if Leshrac is hitting a tower, he'll X him, he'll boat him, he'll like whip him. That's already like 700 or 800 damage, just 6-7 minutes into the game. So it's a way to fight back the
So this goes back to like what you were talking about trying to give the Centaur his own game. You solidify a really strong early game presence like the Kunkka, and that'll hopefully free up that Centaur and not force it back.
That's interesting. I think that both Centaur and Kunkka are very good at dealing with the skeletons, so I would not expect them to have picked Wraith King. But yeah, I mean it's kind of like the same thing with Alchemist and Medusa, I suppose, so they farms very fast in the jungle. I'm not so sure.
I mean, he just seems to be a crazy hero right now. Everyone's been picking him, and it doesn't seem like people are shy about going late game with him either.
The good thing about Wraith King, though, is that he's one of the few heroes that doesn't really care about getting X-comboed here or stun locked off by Lion and getting fingered. So I can see like how they're thinking about it, but like Boxy said, both the Kunkka Splash and the Centaur just like nature of the hero, all of his spells are basically AoE. If you hit him, the skeletons kill themselves.
I think it's like a hard hero for LGD to go on, but they also have Lion, which has a very strong mana drain. So I think if Wraith King can kind of play it like Hector, like you said, farm jungle to level 20, get the mana, like remove mana cost of reincarnation, I think Vici is in a very good spot, like if they can manage to get there. But until then, it might be hard for him to play on the map, you know, walk into fight and stuff. His skeleton's gonna die, he's gonna get mana drain, he's gonna get stunned. He needs a lot of farm.
So do you think this Leshrac is going to be Yang's hero, or is it going to be Ori's? Like,
I think it has to be
it's
mid.
Gonna be Ori. Yeah,
Okay.
I think Ori's going to be playing the Leshrac. I just feel like it's more of their comfort. It most likely would have been Paparazzi or Ori playing it.
Yeah, I think unless they pick some like super heavy counter pick right now, like Timber.
No, I think
like
it's Kunkka against Slash mid.
No, I think so. But unless they pick like Timber or Stark mid and try to play off the lanes. But I don't really feel like Vici or LGD tends to do those types of things. That's more like an Infamous thing where they want to play off snowballing.
Right.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, if Infamous was in like Vici's position right now, you could definitely be expecting Clark to counter that.
You're absolutely right. It is going to be mid Leshrac last pick a bat.
Yeah.
I think that actually solves quite a lot of the
Stuns.
Yeah, like, I mean, you pick stuns, this hero removes stuns, and he can remove it from himself as well as someone else at the same time, so...
Yeah. He's very good against both of the supports, I think. Rubik doesn't really want to steal any of Abaddon's spells. And well,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like...
remaining.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ideal, at least.
No, it's not, definitely not.
And also, I think the Lion mana drain is very good, but every time you get locked down as Abaddon, you can also just instantly pop your ulti to go in and save somebody else. So you can like remove your own disable to save somebody else. And they just pick TV.
Into Lash. Interesting.
Alright, what are your thoughts?
I did say before the tournament started that I thought TV was a hero, but we never managed to make it work for ourselves, so... and they just picked it into Leshrac and Warlock, which I think are both very, very good against them. The upheaval of just keeping him in place and the Rock to control this BKB, so... Yeah, no, I'm not really sure. I think I like Vici's draft a bit more. I think they're going to be able to play a bit faster, so... But it's going to come down a lot to the early game team fights and who wins those.
All right, gentlemen, I have to say, I've experienced a lot of revelations about drafting. Can't wait for the rest of your breakdowns, but we've got to get Purge his due before we get Vici Gaming versus LGD started.
Vici Gaming gets first pick in this match, and they're going to open up with a Leshrac. And what Leshrac allows you to do is cast your second skill, Diabolic Edict, and take buildings and towers. You kind of end up being this frontline guy to focus. But one of the weaknesses to Leshrac is that when chain stunned or burst damaged against, it's fairly straightforward to die if they jump on you with a heavy amount of heroes. So what Vici Gaming did was they tried to pick heroes that could try to slow that down a bit, because on the other side, LGD picked up Centaur, Lion, and Rubik, who are all very good at blowing him up. So they covered that with the Warlock. They can drop the ultimate to stop the run at you during Stampede or other chain stuns. They also pick the Abaddon for the last pick. They want to remove the stuns that go in the Leshrac as he's the front of the fight. And on the other side, they also have the Wraith King. Wraith King very good at absorbing those spells and being able to run at the enemy hero. So it's going to be a super good match. Vici Gaming needs to defend their Leshrac. That is the hero to watch in the fight. And we're going to send it over to the casters, OD, Pixel, and Fogged.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Yes, up in the upper bracket right now, Vici Gaming versus PSG.LGD. I'm OD Pixel here with Fog. We've just seen the draft, some exciting picks, and some picks that I feel is a little bit of a risk, right? That last pick from Arme, he feels confident in the Terrorblade. It's something that we've seen him have a lot of success with in the past. Yeah. But they've got a lot of means to deal with the TB, right? There's a lot of magical bursts coming out from Vici Gaming.
Just immediately, right? Insania, the first thing he said, TB was picking, he goes, TB at the Lash. The first thing that he says, right? There is a lot of burst damage. That being said, though, there is protection coming from PSG.LGD as well, right? They do have that Kunkka. The RUM is one thing that we'll be able to put into factor. And also, they're going to look to run around and fight his board, right? We've seen what LGD's been able to do with that. And we've seen what happens when you have like a Terrorblade anti-mate, something like this, these super farmers. You kind of run around as 4 and put pressure on the opposite side of the map. And the TB, it gives them tower push. I think that's the thing that PSG.LGD was looking for, because they didn't really have anything besides that until then.
No, absolutely. You look over, obviously over to the side of Vici Gaming. They've got that Ledge, they've got that Shaman. They're going to be taking towers like no anybody's business. So that pace will be there for Vici Gaming's lineup, which may force Ame to fight a little sooner than he may hope.
Here we are, you know, you're versus Centaur, camp the mid lane, don't let him build up those retaliate stacks. So Chalice knows this. Teams have been doing this a lot, camping that mid lane. He's gonna even put a Vici spray on their tower, tank a couple hits, give him a little bit of a taunt down.
Yeah, playing sort of a step ahead of the game that, as you said, people have started to do in response to the old retaliate stack building.
30 seconds to battle.
And we'll see what sort of lanes we have come into play and see if anyone's going to get caught out around this bottom arena spot. So a lot of stuns from both sides, really. A lot of catch and lockdown.
Look at the wards coming out from PSG.LGD. Really focusing on the mid lane, making sure that Somnus has a good time, making sure that he can do rune control as well versus this Leshrac being able to walk up, being able to see that one immediately. He wants to prevent getting ganked pretty much, because if he's against Ori in a 1v1, he's going to be okay. If he gets rotated on, he can get killed, he can get set up on from Fade.
Obviously, Paparazzi have a little bit of a look towards the rune spot, but knows that with Chalice on the front lines, there's so much stun that there's no point trying to walk up and grab that. Will mean that PSG.LGD are able to start taking the majority of the runes, 3 for 1, as we get into the lanes. It's top lane X-Nova. The weight is going to be on him to make sure that Ame can farm safely, as the pressure will be there. Yang being joined by the Shaman on the top lane himself and Fade, ready to make sure that Ame does have that pressure put on him on the early stages. And once those levels are there, right, in the shield and the shock, there's a lot of early game nuke that this TB is going to be very vulnerable to.
Most definitely. Immediately, they're going to use that meta to try to zone at the start, try to guarantee themselves to get these last hits on the first wave. And at least the one thing that TRTB does have is high armor, right? So Fade, your right click's gonna hurt a little bit less, but we've seen what these Abaddons are able to do now with Curse of Avernus already.
Absolutely.
He gets bullied, and that's when you have meta on.
Yeah, just run down and take him down to half HP. And it's all about how much you can find from those first few waves with the first meta to sort of set your dominance in the lane. And Vici Gaming making sure that he doesn't get that free chance to do so. Fade comes in from the side, drops down a nuke. Again, so much pressure, getting Ame pushed all the way back behind his tower. He's having to pop that early salve, and this first meta isn't going to get him much at all from the lane. He's only managed to touch 3 creeps, 1 last hit, 2 denies. This laning situation for Vici Gaming is perfect to slow down the TB start.
Yeah, super solid pressure lane, and they're going to keep going at it. They're just going to keep looking to put that pressure onto Ame, and they should be able to quite easily continue to do so up in that top lane. So bottom, we'll take a look at this one, how it's been going so far. Looks like it's a bit of a trade for the time being. Once you start getting those level 2s on the Rubik as well as that Centaur, you can easily try to set up for kills. Warlock, more of like, as known, very defensive kind of support, so it's more just securing Paparazzi's farm. They're pretty likely to get a kill down here on PSG.LGD onto the Warlock, or maybe even onto the Brave King if they step out of position. So we'll have to watch FY, what moves he decides to make on the map as this Rubik. As he's going to be the one to kind of set the tempo for PSG.LGD in the early game.
Still ready as well. Fade's able to get that first stack going, in fact, for their own benefit up top, as they'll look to try and pull it in, and eventually will have the nuke damage to clear it themselves. Make sure that they can just find so much from this top lane setup. Yang, free farm at the moment on the Abaddon, 11 for 2.
I love that X-Nova went for the mana drain. You don't really need Hex up in this top lane just yet, because you're not going to really set up for kills. You're all about just trying to protect. Similar, Lion's not like a Warlock, but in this fashion, you can at least try to help out a little bit more than some other heroes could. Constantly burn down that mana. FY really just camping in the mid lane here, trying to set up for maybe a courier snipe, but
it's coming out now. So we'll see. See how patient he is.
250 is on the mark. It's probably going to be flying as soon as it gets.
No, you're right. FY realizes there's no point in sticking around any longer. Even if he does see it, he's not going to get it. So he backs away. The mid lane, still that slight edge for Somnus in this matchup. I guess sort of what you would expect to see this, right? Early levels for the Kunkka. I mean, even as the levels go on, right? It's this beefy strength hero, hard hitting, unlikely to be forced out of lane by Lesh alone.
Yeah, it all depends on if you get hit by too many stuns, if you get a couple denies built up on the Lesh from those stun setups. Yeah, but like you said, high amount of physical damage coming up from that Kunkka, and you're not really at risk of dying unless another rotation comes in. And Ori's not really even playing the pressure lane too much. He's actually just playing it strictly to farm. He's not connected on a couple of those stuns onto Somnus. Somnus has been saving the Tidebringer every single time to secure himself a last hit on those range creeps himself.
Looking up at the top lane, level 3, and Ame is going to pop that meta once again, looking to catch himself back up and get ahead of Yang, and they're closing the gap. LGD is able to secure that top lane a little bit more. Another attempt to Stack going here around this top camp. X-Nova with a bit of a setup onto Fade. They started to bring Arme across. It's a little too far for Arme to track and risk missing the creeps in lane. So it'll just be the supports fighting off one another.
He was blocking the pull, right? It looked like X-Nova was trying to pull upwards and Fade just hit it to stop that. But no, not off the mark here, X-Nova.
They're going to try and turn here. Shackle's out. It's going to give a chance because of Avernus to build up. Aphotic Shield keeps Fade safe. As Fade can back away and Yang just punching into the two of them, taking their attention away from the action and the potential kill and from the creep waivers. That's another metamorphosis that comes to an end.
Solid early game here. Solid early start for Vici, at least in the 3 lanes. But then we do see, of course, that mid. Somnus really starting to take over a little bit there.
I'm going to pop to Yang. Wants to get aggressive still. Both teams really hunting for that first blood. With X-Nova a little too far forward. That top lane, it was looking strong from the off, and it's just granted them that first blood onto X-Nova. Bottom lane, see a quick play in response as they'll look to bully the support. DY, he's got backup. His counter, so's Paparazzi. They've got the setup stun. Paparazzi's beating into Chalice. Chalice is in trouble. F5 also gets taken down as Ori is able to chase him back over to his side of the map. They get both kills down bottom. Vici Gaming making the quick plays here as they get mobile across the map.
I mean, top lane pretty much, I think, has to kind of be abandoned in a way now from PSG.LGD. They can't secure this Tower Blades farm up there. He's going to have to resort to jungle. This dual lane is just way too strong. Abaddon, as well as that Shadow Shaman, just way too much damage. Lion and TB are just a weak dual lane, as we were mentioning before.
I think at the moment for PSG.LGD, it's definitely going to be Somnus saying, hey guys, I've got it good in the mid lane. I'm getting this start. I'm getting this free farm. He's going to be the one that starts to get active and makes those plays probably when he hits the level 7. And we'll look to respond to these aggressive moves from Vici Gaming in the side lanes to make sure they have the firepower to turn them around.
I think he has to look for runes now, though. We see bottom when the Lesh was able to get that haste rune. You know Lesh is going to go for a bottle. That's why we saw them ward earlier to set up for that. So Somnus, or at least the supports, have to ensure that they can block out those power runes from the Lesh, and they will be able to there, taking out at least a regen rune.
Radiant's middle tower is under
attack. Have to be super careful of all those rotations that can come out quickly. As the Lesh has set up in the side lanes. The Wraith King stun, as well as the Shadow Shaman, will probably be in opposing lanes for Ori to make those rotations.
And eyes on mid. Here's PSG.LGD bringing the 2 supports here to try and put the pressure on. Fade did show Ori. Now going to come back out towards the creep wave. As you can see already, FY's left the area. Feels that this is a hard catch to get. He's going to step back over as it's Vici Gaming that begins to jump forward, looking for the Kunkka. He's tanky, but is he actually tanky enough? He's taking so much damage. It's not going to be in time. X-Nova finally comes in with a stun, but now Vici Gaming, they're brought in more. PSG.LGD have to back off, as that was a bit of a bold attempt from Somnus to step up, and as it seemed, you know, as I said, FY had already started the walk back to top lane, and X-Nova wasn't quite in there quick enough to help him out.
Vici is incredibly ready for the rotations right now. You can tell they're looking at the 5-minute mark, or 5-minute catapult wave that was coming in. They made sure, like you said, they collapsed onto that mid lane. As soon as Somnus steps up, he's an easy kill for those two. The Leshrac, high amount of magical damage. If you don't get your rum off early, you will definitely get brought out by that one. Ame, though, he'll be like, okay, cool, thank you. At least alleviate some space, alleviate some pressure that's coming onto me, and I'll be able to farm a bit here. But immediately, Ame is going to step up, and Fade is already up here with Yang.
Yeah, he's more than happy to dive now. He's hit the 6, he's got the borrowed time. They'll get straight in onto the Terrorblade. Right behind the tower, he goes, Ame. They won't dive any further. They'll just opt to continue to put this pressure onto the tier 1 tower itself, and they're bringing in more. TP over from Ori, ready to join the push and make sure that Ame cannot turn back into the lane. He's already TP'd over to the shrine. He knows that it's time to hit the jungle with the Wraith Bands. This lane is well and truly over, and Vici Gaming, with this pressure, should be able to find a very early tier 1 tower.
And we're going to see them do a lot, right? That's what their draft is about. Like Insani was mentioned on the draft panel. You look, they have Edict, they have Shadow Shaman. They're going to want to just keep running at these lanes and pressuring the towers as early as possible. Constrict the map versus that Tower Blade. They know that PSG.LGD is going to be playing mostly 4v5 in this game. Sure, they have a Wraith King, but Wraith King can get more involved than a Tower Blade in the early stages of the game, because at least you have a stun, while TV is not really going to contribute too much of anything except for like a reflection, which you don't want to be walking into versus the Leshrac lineup.
It will feel a little sort of safer across the map, Ame, as well. Now that Chalice has hit that 6, he will at least have that Stampede to offer any time they start to sense Vici Gaming closing in the gap. They will have to be quick, of course. Still, that lockdown there from both the Lesh and the Shadow Shaman that they have to be wary of. Fade, as you see once again, just sat behind Paparazzi, making sure that if any aggression comes out, they'll have the backup. Yang starting to see if he can take a little bit of the jungle away from Ame. Ame coming back across and still near that shrine. Yang does have to be a little careful. But I guess every time he has the borrowed time up, he feels very confident, right? He can go over here. If there is going to be support rotations and backup coming the way of Ame, it's only going to open up the other two lanes for Vici Gaming to get that pressure and keep that pace up.
Yeah, they're just trying to, Vici's just mostly trying to play fast and keep the pressure up, like we were saying. PSG.LGD, they want to play the farm game much more so in this one. We even see Somnus, like we saw Chris Luck doing actually on Infamous. He's just farming Ancients as the Kunkka right now with his Tidebringer. He stacked them up a couple times, so did his team, so he's going to be able to clear those out. Okay pace.
Yeah, aiming for the double bracer Radiance this game. We've seen a few Kunkkas go for the double bracer Halberd. Is there a reason why this game sort of fits this build better?
I think actually, I'm trying to think of a good reason for it. I mean, it's good versus the Wraith King, right? He just has the evasion. It's always going to be nice versus the skeletons and everything too, and it gives him a big scaling potential. I think that's what he wants, because I did see the Halberd builds. They kind of fell off, right? The Kunkka builds, it was like, you know, you can understand why they went for it, but and I do like the build overall, but I think Somnus is more of a player where he wants to be like, I'm going to scale very hard into the late stage of the game, and this is going to ensure that I'm going to farm that.
And I guess as well, we see sort of the Halberd build in games where the Kunkka has a carry that's obviously building the Radiance, and this time that's not going to be the case. Terrorblade Radiance is not quite the meta build.
Even though you really like it.
Even though it's doing it, you pump skills.
Don't do it. Mid lane. DY is already in position there if they get O2 over aggressive with the Chaotic Offering ready. Pretty significant steal actually by FY. This gives him a pushing tool now on PSG.LGD if he's able to set up and go for the other side lanes with his Diabolic Edict. Because besides that, their push was pretty limited. And we see, like we're saying, Vici, they want to keep running at these towers, bring the fight to PSG.LGD, set the tempo, set the pace, allow Paparazzi to farm.
They really are. They're hitting all their goals so far, Vici Gaming. Everything going to plan. They're sort of taking off the checklist of what they hope to accomplish in this early game.
Yeah, Paparazzi, it's 11 minutes, phase minus, pretty decent timing for himself down bottom. He actually was not pressured too much by this Centaur Rubik lane, which a lot of times is able to set up for a lot of kills versus most dual lanes. But yeah, that Warlock really allows Paparazzi to get this farm. Rotations now coming in. I saw they were focusing on giving X-Nova some of that XP mid for a while. They really want to have this finger online. It's going to give them that extra burst damage to bring down the Lesh, maybe bring down the Wraith King in some of these situations. And we see also the 2 points in the mana drain. So we're probably going to see mana drain be pretty relevant in this game because he's playing versus the Wraith King. So he definitely can set up for some times to maybe even bring down Paparazzi without getting his own pumped.
Mid lane Somnus, who's going to find Fade, stepping forward, sets up for sweet little kill there off the back of the creep side, bring it in.
That's a pretty sizable run. 500 XP.
I mean, hey, it's the first kill that LGD's found this game.
Very true.
And with that lead and the gold they're getting from the towers, those little kills, those supports, they're not, they're worth a pretty penny of it.
Any type of free kill PSG.LGD can get with this type of lineup, right? They want to farm. They want Terrorblade to just get the farm on. So those are great for them.
And it's only going to boost up that Radiance goal. Well, 2,400 at the moment. Somnus on his road to the Relic.
Yep. Or he's making the moves and running around the map more so because he's a Leshrac. Well, Somnus is he's just jungling. He's just like, okay, I'm going to play the efficiency game. I'm a Kunkka. I farm fast. And he's gonna have a very good timing on this one already if he does not die again.
It's looking pretty quick. I mean, the chances of him dying off, I feel they're pretty low. He's not an easy kill walking around with those braces as long as he gets the boat off.
Yeah. Or if he has any backup, if he has anybody to stop the chain stun of pretty much the shackles, it's the biggest one that they do have on Vici. They have other stuns, but that's the big one that will be enough lockdown for him to not get the rum off. So Vici, they've got Serpent Wards available again. Immediately they smoke up. They want to look to put the pressure on. In particular, also get some wards down, because right now their vision is pretty much only the one down bottom, so they don't have any information of where Ame is farming. So we see them, they're walking in, kind of scout out the jungle, put down some vision, even some sneaky one. You see the tree cut there by DY, puts it up on that high ground. So not the most expected ward.
No, it's almost as if, you know, Ame, he's ready for these sort of moves. He knows that with that tier 1 tower going down very early on, that top area of the map, it's not very safe for the TB. He's sort of sticking to the triangle, was able to get another stack going on the Ancients.
Yeah, they circled the whole area. You just see X-Nova, he just circled his entire jungle.
That area is
don't come here. Yeah,
yeah, they've got to be careful.
Yeah, stick with Somnus. Even though Somnus is taking your Ancients right now, you can stick with him, soak that XP for a little bit, and just play on the right side of the map mostly.
Yeah, balance out the farm between the mid lane and the bottom lane.
Yeah.
As they continue to get pushed in. I mean, he's now sort of gingerly stepping over back into his jungle. Is just say all going to be underneath that ward vision.
Both of them, yeah. The second ward also will be able to spot out the illusions. As Xnova, he's actually setting up with a wraparound here onto Ori, but there's backup. Yang's already prepared for this.
More of LGD moving over to this half. This is sort of the time where Ame can afford to farm up here. If he's going to go up here, he cannot do it alone. They have to bring him back up, make sure that they've got presence in the neighborhood. So even in these situations where Vici came in, they do have the vision. They're not going to be able to make any aggressive plays off the Terrorblade. He's got his friends around him.
Yeah, they're doing that. Like we used to see a lot. Like just smoke rotation through your own jungle, just clear out the wards and protect yourself. They're bringing 2 sentries to try and look for these. As
he needs help. It is kind of close. Is it close enough? There with the Stampede, they'll get out. And then with the turnaround, Ame pops the Sunder, Metamorphosis out as well. He wants to fight. Question is if Somnus can get a grab. But he has got that maxed out X-Mark. He's got the cast range. Is he going to be able to get close enough? He will. He'll grab Yang. Yang is a bit of a tricky one. Does have borrowed time, so not really a quick and easy kill, as Yang will be able to easily walk this one off. They don't find the kill, but they are at least able to push the wave round, get some damage onto that tier 1 top. Back towards mid, Ori, set up onto Chalice. Chalice, of course, already using that Stampede to allow the rest of the team to help Ame top. Doesn't matter, F5's in, telekinesis, the stolen stun thrown out the way of Ori will keep Chalice safe.
Immediately, Vici, they're going to respond. They see the aggression happening top. They lose their tier 1 top tower, but they want to make their own move. But the glyph is popped, and these wards are going to get cleaned up, but they should be able to get a little bit of damage here on this tower. Fade's actually just hitting Somnus with them, so not going to get too much damage on the tower here at all, actually. And Somnus will be able to clean these up. More gold. Big movements for PSG.LGD there, clearing out their jungle, getting that opportunity top. If they can get any type of tower early in this game, it's very significant for them.
This guy has no chill.
Radiance is pretty much done.
It's a very quick one. It's a fast timing from Somnus.
Xnova was not able to find... Okay, he actually only used one of the sentries on... Actually, no, he's just holding on to them. So he didn't even look for the wards that were placed inside their jungle. So that tells me they don't want to be playing on that side. That was just a quick sweep through earlier to make sure and guarantee that Ame could get that farm. And then now they're going to play on the bottom side again.
So you say you do like
that sentry ward bottom, it's just shy of catching the ward of Vici. So Vici is going to be aware of this movement down here.
Oh, that's true.
It was just right next to it. That's a very clever ward there by Vici. I've seen a couple of teams.
Yeah, LGD unlikely to find anything big in terms of kills, but at least they can start to push onto that tier 1 tower. They've got 4 heroes down here looking.
Both of the sentries are literally right on the edge of catching that op score down bottom from Vici in the lane.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
There we go.
That one right there. Yeah, there we go. Now we see it.
Spots on point from Vici.
It's such a nice ward there. It's going to catch out all that rotation that we were saying from PSG.LGD. They will lose their tower, but they know immediately because they saw the rotation coming, they can do this up top. They can put the pressure on the tier 2 tower themselves.
And so we liking the Greed from Yang this game. He's got the Midas running.
Oh, he went for the Midas as well. Okay, cool. I think he wants to be able to scale super hard into the late game too. They look at the PSG.LGD draft and they're like, yeah, you know what? Both of us can go into the late game and probably be able to take it, either one of us, depending on how the fights go. So he wants to also be super farmed in this game too.
That is pretty crazy, right?
That is very
1k lead, sure, I guess, as you always tell me, Dota Plus, it really favors taking towers. Yes, they did take a tier 2 top, but 73% probability that this match goes the way of Vici Gaming. It feels like it's hard to call, right? We are 17 minutes in. It's only 4-1. There's not that much of a net worth difference. Sure, I guess losing the tier 2 top sucks, but does it suck that much?
I wonder which hero it also really likes on the side of Vici. I know it likes Wraith King a lot. It doesn't like Abaddon. It might like Abaddon and Leshrac also a lot, so...
Maybe just like Midas's.
Maybe just likes Midas's. His bottom, Paparazzi. They're trying to bring him down. He has mana. They will just use the finger to pop the ulti. But it was a level 2 ulti, so it's only that 2-minute instead of the really long cooldown of like the 3+. Let's look at that efficiency. Very nice. 98%. Grant would be very happy. So Radiance is both about to be online, right? Paparazzi almost having his. But now he does not have Reincarnation. So we probably will see PSG.LGD look to make an aggressive play here. As first, they're going to scout up for some wards. And they will find this one now.
Starting to reclaim some of the safety of their jungle, which is, of course, going to be hard to do so without those 2 towers standing up top.
Such a quiet game, though. 4-1 only.
I mean, I feel like
the lowest kill counts.
You kind of expected it coming into this match because you know that for both of these teams, there's quite a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people in the stadium watching. And this series, you know, whoever wins this, they're instantly going to become the crowd favorites, right? This series, who's going to be the one that the local crowd's going to feel most confident in taking them all the way to the finals and all the way towards that Aegis? Whoever comes out on top here, that's your answer.
Yep, more than likely. As both teams not really crossing the river too much, just a little bit of fear of doing that. As Ame, he's gotten away with, he's gotten away with murder in this one, right? He's 207 last hits. He has treads, 4 Wraithbands, and his Manta, level 14. He's not really been pressured too much from Vici after this early game where they got a good amount of map control. They haven't been able to find him. That being said, though, Paparazzi, of course, is matching that farm, even ahead of that. Very, very close one here.
Radiant's
Golden
bottom
XP pretty much
tower is
zero.
under attack.
Runes are up in 30 seconds. We may see a little bit of bloodshed around there.
PSG.LGD, they do have their blink and they have a full Crimson Guard finished on Chalice. That could be a pretty big timing for them to go look for plays. Surprisingly, he didn't go for the pipe first. I guess he just wanted to have his own tank ability for himself versus just the right clicks. But yeah, versus that Lesh, so that pipe definitely going to be really important for him to protect his allies. Of course, the BKBs, the next big timings, PSG.LGD. If they're able to get those online, it's going to be pretty critical for them versus Vici's Drax. They have a Lesh. So once that BKB is online, Lesh's damage potential just gets chunked down quite heavily.
Radiant are scanning.
Do we have it? We're just 2 for... 2 was there on the bounty runes by the looks of it.
She's setting up here. We'll be able to find Somnus up top. Yeah, continue the farm game.
4 to 1, 20 minutes. Oh, bit of action down here. The snakes around. Stampy's there for X-Nova. They'll turn. And the snakes will be dropped for nothing. PSG.LGD able to turn. X-Nova's able to get himself that second stack on the finger buff this game. Mid lane Paparazzi also gets his reincarnate popped.
Quick reflection with that Radiance seam burning him down on top of just a lift and a quick stun. Vici. I feel like they want to they want to start putting a little bit more pressure on. Like we said, PSG.LGD, right now this is them kind of just buying time, waiting till they get those BKBs. When they have them,
they just want to fight.
They're going to look to just fight and run at Vici afterwards. So Vici...
are they going to want to fight?
When they have BKB, I do think so.
Yeah, well, you think they should.
Versus Leshrac, I'd imagine that they would be running at them and fighting when they have the BKBs, but we'll see if that's the case. And yeah, they're very comfortable just farming. But yeah, double BKB timing is going to be very big for PSG. As on the side of Vici, they don't have that big timing that can be the same. Sure, they're building the Crimson Guard as well on the Abaddon, but theirs isn't this big, like they can't get their own BKBs and it's that impactful. It's going to be impactful, of course, versus the Kunkka combos as well as the Centaur, but Kunkka, hard physical damage. Same thing with Terrorblade. Vici, they don't have that same physical damage coming out on their side to pierce through those BKB. Nice little skeletons. Gold. Yeah, quite the farm game.
All about that farm. These boys, they don't want to make mistakes. And sort of those early deaths really only being those sort of in the lanes in the first few minutes. Sure, we did see that one pick off down bottom. Most of the time since that laning phase, everyone's been keeping it safe. Nobody's messing up. Everyone's hitting their timings. And the difference between these teams is incredibly minimal. Just a 1K lead for Vici Gaming, but Vici Gaming, they do have the majority of towers taken in comparison. You look over towards LGD, they've only taken 2 tier 1s. Ooh. I don't know, I don't quite know how he did not find him there. I mean, X-Nova.
X-Nova's still like, he's gone, right?
Is he gone?
He's gone, right?
He's gone. He's safe
Radiant's
to move again.
bottom tower
With that
is under
TP out,
attack.
Vici Gaming will group up. Now look to go for that smoke. I think, as you said, they are very aware of the BKBs. They want to try and strike before them, but is that BKB done on Ame?
They're both pretty much done.
Yeah.
Somnus is 200 gold away from his as well.
So see how they
he's
can
backed up.
Ame, they're going to get the instant Hex Pack Rest. To set them down without the chance for BKB, but the BKB's down. Ame fights. Onto the 3 of them. They're taking out the Shaman. Chalice is focusing down T1 in the back.
Radiant's middle tower
Channeling. Ame will fall. They get the big kill onto the Terrorblade. Can Vici Gaming get more? Sideline wraparound from X-Nova. Catches out Ori on his attempt to escape. Chase forward for Chalice. Chalice, he's out of spells to use. Hex up by Fade. Paparazzi on top of him. The Athletic Shield explodes. They find a second. Still looking for more Vici Gaming. They know that this is their time to pounce. Shackles out from Fade. Puts his hands up as well. Paparazzi's in. They're on top of Somnus. He's tanky. And they got enough control. X is out. Into the Rayfire blast. The shield's going to pop as well. Bringing it over the BKB. Delivered. He's ready to turn. Tidebringer here. Cuts Chase down Fade on the back lines. The drag back control, both back online. A big combo gets dropped down onto Paparazzi, but he's into the trees. Heals there from DY, and Paparazzi will be able to back off. Somnus, he does go for the S-Mark, but he's a little low on mana, so both teams will back off and reset. Gold, as you can see, favoring LGD in that scenario.
Yeah, Fade with a die back there. Look at the damage done, though. 12,891 to 15,000. Crazy amount of damage done to the fight there. Ame got to give it separated from his team, but we saw Vici. I thought they were actually going to lose everybody there.
I thought it was going to get a lot worse for the Radiant.
Yeah, they danced really nicely around the spells of LGD. They kited around Chalice as well when he jumped in forward. And then a couple missed spells there from PSG.LGD. A couple missed Tidebringers as well from Somnus, trying to line up those cleaves. Didn't want to get in too close because didn't want to get chain stunned. But yeah, Vici, I think that they're obviously LGD, they come out ahead of that one, but it could have been way worse, like you said, for Vici. That double BKB timing that did come out from LGD, and PSG.LGD immediately, they're smoked up again looking for a fight, even though they don't have their meta available for about 40 seconds. The other four are ready.
I mean, they know that they're strong with those BKBs. And especially when the Golem's not ready to drop.
Yang.
They want to find something. Yang's got the borrowed time ready.
Far up though.
See the jump from Chalice, trying to look for the backline is behind Yang. Now the ult comes out from Vaden. They start to retreat. The BKB to commit to this one. Stampede juice as well, allowing PSG.LGD to surround themselves around the Vaden. They'll get Yang. The rest of them already on the way out. X-Nova singing fun. Beautiful stun there from X-Nova from the low ground, as he'll be able to set up for a second catch.
Radiant's middle tower.
LGD continuing to just come out on top of these small little skirmishes, these little pokes. They're able to use the BKBs, chase down Vici Gaming, and it's very hard for Vici Gaming to stand their ground and turn.
Yeah, especially when Chaotic Offering isn't up. The team friend for Vici is not there because of how squishy they are too, and if there's no Chaotic Offering, they have no counter initiation to kind of run away. That's why we saw PSG.LGD smoke up and go for those bounty runes. Yang, he wanted to assert that dominance, but maybe just a little bit too far that time when his team is not ready to fight. His minus is up during his death, so.
A little efficiency down the pan for Yang.
Yeah. More space for Ame. For PSG.LGD to continue farming up. These timings, these double BKBs, yeah, like we said, very big problems. Vici, their next ones aren't going to be nearly as impactful.
Oh, no.
I mean, they're getting close to theirs on the Lash, but like we said, they don't have the same type of method as LGD. Just deal that straight physical damage to bring down a target. And Ame, he is really the strongest. He can become the strongest one in this game if he sits in the back lines.
And it's, I mean, sure, once the AC's done on Paparazzi, then at least him and Yang can start to try and right-click down the heroes. But the cause is this Sensor, this Kunkka, Terrorblade. These aren't heroes that died to a few right-clicks early on.
It's pretty crazy.
They've got a lot of HP, a lot of damage resistance. Crimson Guard, of course, from Chalice is also going to cause issues for Vici Gaming to try and get damage in around the BKBs. It's hard for Vici Gaming to fight, and yeah. I think they've sort of started to realize that off the back of the last two plays, and they're asking themselves, what have we got to do? Their best hope is to catch LGD out in a situation where LGD's not going to have the full squad.
They have to get a good Fatal Bonds as well, but that BKBs will always be the problem. It's actually, I was going to say, it's pretty crazy. I'm looking at items from both teams, and we have like mirrored items coming out. We have like the Crimson Guard in the Abad, and we have the Radiance into the AC onto the Kunkka, which is also being built by Paparazzi. So they're both kind of going for like the same exact item builds on both sides on each heroes.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
PSG.LGD looking to fight. They're feeling a big power spike coming in after these last few moments.
In the build-up in this game has been quite phenomenal so far. Just only 6 to 7 at 28 minutes in. I mean, this has to be sort of one of the slowest build-ups in a game we've had so far this TI. Just
oh, Chalice will get used up as Stampede. First, he's just going to protect himself, holding onto it as long as possible with that Crimson Guard and Pipe. And he'll be able to disengage. PSG.LGD, they just have better forms of initiation as well in the fights too. Vici, they have great ways of counter initiation with that Warlock and also with the Blink Dagger of Paparazzi, but PSG.LGD, they have a very comfortable hold right now. So go on, AC was finished, so AC Blink for Paparazzi. And they're looking like they're going to try to use this timing to get themselves too. Constant D-wards and constant trying to control the map. Yes, they're smoked up.
There's Chalice. Just Paparazzi stuff gets removed by the opponent's shield. Paparazzi tries to look to turn. The boat comes crashing down towards Fade. As Fade's dragged back into his death. They'll now turn towards Yang. Yang still has the ultimate ready. Expert there's a long time. Paparazzi with a chainsaw comes through. Oh, he puts the BKB. He's trying to bring down X-Nova. Finds one. But the finger's already out. They pump the reincarnate. DY is Golem punching away at Somnus. But Somnus and Chalice, they're so tanky. Ame as well. BKB's out. They cannot kill these cores, Vici Gaming. As they're going to try and get away, they cannot escape. As Chalice's right click brings down DY. And these fights, even though the net worth's even though some of the items are pretty similar, it just seems like Vici Gaming cannot come out on top. They cannot kill any of PSG.LGD's cores. They just do not have the damage output to match the resistances that they built up on LGD's lineup.
It does feel like Vici, they had to play a little bit faster in that early game to shut down these BKBs. They're proving this to be so problematic every single time. BKB gets popped and they have nothing. They just have nothing to deal with those BKBs when they do come out. Sure, they have the chaotic offering, but as we've seen several times, they just turn and kill the golem. Yeah. The Kunko just turns, hits it a couple times, same thing with Ame. It just dies pretty quickly.
It really does, especially when that messes up.
Illusion.
The golem doesn't stand any sort of chance. All it is now is sort of a glorified setup. It's no longer that sort of damage that persists through the fight as it's taken out.
Okay, they're trying to get the roast share, and they're doing it pretty fast. There's no mana available for Ame either.
They're heading over. Ame's going to scout it out with the illusion. He's got a full Scud. He's ready to start a walk to the pit. They'll throw down the turret combo. Can anyone get in there to go for the steal? Roshan still being focused by the Serpent wards.
It's up, people.
It's slowing them all down. Chalice tries to step forward. He's going to have Stampede back up in a second. BKB's popped by Ori as he looks to push LGD away from the pit. Paparazzi getting brought down low. Roshan nearly touched it. Can they win a fight with the Aegis though? That's the question. They've already killed off Ori the once. Chalice on the side, locked down by the shackles, will fall. Vici finally able to get a core out of the lineup of LGD. They've lost the Aegis, they've lost the reincarnation. They're going to try and chase. X-Nova's there. Ame is obviously the dream catch. Get the support. Will they get Ames into the trees? TP out. Will be successful. Whew.
That was a scary one there for Vici. If they weren't able to get that, Aegis actually picked up there. They took advantage there, right? Their mana was down, try to make some type of big heads-up play. Even though we don't have chaotic offering or anything like that, we have to try to make something happen because, like you said, the fights were not looking good for them. They needed to have something else extra for themselves. Got a little scary, too, because FY stole Fatal Bonds there toward the end.
So we can see, it was so close to maybe going the way of LGD, that Roshan. Chalice so close to the pit and being able to make a move, but Ori, good commitment with the BKB, forces the majority of LGD away from that pit so they can get back in, make sure they grab it. Stuns out from Ori, I believe, onto Chalice just as the Roshan falls, so no chance for Chalice to try and go for the pickup steal. And it's a little bit of light, a little bit of a promise there from their lineup. Absolutely. Being able to kill off Chalice, but they do have to expend the Aegis for it, so now there's no Aegis to really make a play around with. It does bump them up a little bit in gold advantage. 2K lead now. Dota Plus still feeling confident with the lineup of Vici Gaming, despite what really does seem to be this flaw with their sort of heroes in the head-to-head matchups down the line. As even with that Roche, even with killing off Chalice, it doesn't seem like the game's going to get any easier for Vici Gaming. If anything, it just looks like it's going to continue to get harder. Ame's just continuing to grow.
The one thing they will have in favor, though, is that these BKBs were picked up very early. So those BKBs will tick down to the 5 seconds pretty soon. It's a 6-second one already on Somnus, and I believe a 7-second one on Ame. So that's one thing they do at least have that can start to turn inside those fights. They are very heavy magic damage focused. And now an item that I think is really important is Yang having a Lotus Orb, because I saw in a couple of these fights, he doesn't want to shield himself all the time. He wants to be protecting people, and every time a reflection gets popped, he actually just gets silenced. His own illusion just keeps beating on him, and then he gets silenced for the majority of the fight. So having this extra tool to go through a little bit is going to be important for him.
Trying to have a poke on Yang, see if they can bring down the watch. They found the wrap around down the back. They managed to get the jump onto Ori, but the turnaround comes through. Fade has the shackles onto Chalice, separated for the rest of the team. BKB's out from Vici Gaming, but Ame steps straight to the back with the metal orcs, takes out Fade. They are back to Fade. They want to try and turn the Vici Gaming over the time already used. Yang falls. The tier 2 is taken.
The way they took the fight, they saw the Glimmer Cape come out from the Warlock. Ame just cuts into the tree lines there with the Kunkka. They kill T1, but then he has to drop a defensive rock on top of himself. And then from there, PSG.LGD has full control of the fight.
They've got a good amount of duration left on the Metamorphosis as well, so they can just walk up to the high ground. Yang is 200 gold short of buyback, so they cannot bring in the full team to offer any sort of a defense.
That's Rex.
At 34 minutes in, PSG.LGD, they'll take a very simple, clean melee Rax.
There's just, even inside the fights too, just looking, there's just so much damage mitigation coming out. You see the Bad and Sure, we were talking about how he's matching the build of Chalice, having this Crimson Guard and all that, but between Crimson Guard, Pipe, and the Rum, I'm seeing heroes on the side of PSG.LGD just get tickled.
They just don't take any damage.
Wraith King is hitting the Centaur, and it's doing like 100 damage, maybe something like that per hit maximum.
Invisibility.
They're just really tanking up a bit too much here. Still only a 2k gold advantage. I mean, this is astonishing that they're able to keep this gold like this for Vici. I mean, the Skeletons in particular, of course, Paparazzi getting a lot of that farm, but they're keeping it very close here, even though the fights are, we're seeing them pretty dominant for PSG.LGD.
Well, that's the thing, you know, the kills are close, the gold is close. I think if anything, at the moment, it's just a testament to the drafting of PSG.LGD. Being incredibly strong here in this first game. Their lineup just seems so robust and hard for Vici Gaming to do anything about. They've got all the answers, they've got all the items.
Yeah, Ori just can't deal the damage. Ori can't do damage in the fights. He just runs in, he pops his stuff, but he's also at risk of dying because, like we said, such high physical damage that comes out from PSG.LGD. So he's got all this armor items now too, but he's still only 1900 HP.
Off the back of these objectives, and time being given FY, just 200 gold away from having Aghanims on Rubik, so you can expect these fights to continue very thick and fast. The amount of spells FY is going to be able to get out.
Yeah, he's got in, I mean, he's been stealing shielded quite a bit here. He's also taken a couple stuns from the last strike in some of the fights. Nothing like super flashy in this one so far here, but he's been just doing his job of sitting behind, getting decent spells to at least protect people.
Very sort of slow, safe performance from both teams so far, but the meticulousness that LGD's brought to this game just seems that a little bit more safe and sort of able to fall back on this lineup. Ame, Butterfly's done. Another fight won by PSG.LGD could easily set up for a quick tier 2 and a tier 3 to fall. Vici Gaming, you gotta wonder how the discussion's sort of going down in the booth. What is the plan? What are they building towards? What is the move that they're looking to make? Is it sort of just a hope that an overextension comes out from PSG.LGD? Is it a case of waiting, trying to continue to poke these BKB charges out of them, try and get them to use Metamorphosis in a defensive position, fight when it's not up? How do you tackle this game that seemingly is close, but at the same time feels so hard for Radiant?
It's just so hard for them to get any type of like great engagement where they can actually just lock someone down and chain lock them down, because Stampede gets popped and they'll just kind of run away and disengage or get on top of the heroes that they want to. So LGD just has a much easier way of choosing the fights they want to take and how they want to take them every single time. Even though there is, of course, those counter initiations coming out, Vici still just can't take the same type of fights on their own accord. PSG.LGD just gets on top of the heroes that they want to. Quickly blow them up.
Paparazzi trying to amp up that damage. Bloodthorn's what he's hoping for. Will take him a fair bit of time, Ori. Shiva's Guard gold is nearly there, but with the speed that LGD push, you've got to imagine that Vici Gaming is going to be holding on to those buybacks. Smoke on smoke. Vici Gaming starting to enter LGD's jungle. LGD sort of a step ahead as they'll be the ones to first sweep over to the Radiant side. The scan will come out, won't connect onto anybody, so
Radiant's top shrine.
PSG.LGD, well, no, they're not going to find any kills. They'll start to take the shrines, continue to clean up gold off the map. Ori will be spotted in the river.
They've got the high ground here.
They do. This is a bit of an awkward fight for Vici Gaming, despite it being on their half of the map, but they try and look for it. Keeping themselves away for now. Ori just trying to shove out the middle lane. But that top wave is pushed round, and Vici Gaming look to lose this top tier 2 tower.
I mean,
the speed is there. There's no reason for LGD to stop.
Dire's middle tower.
He's hit 25 on Kunkka. He's got the Tidebringer.
Oh, God.
He's ready to just smash through these creepways, smash through these buildings, as it's another tower down. Vici Gaming unable to get stuck in at all.
See FY, he's even restolen the shield as well, so Fatal Bonds comes out, he just shields it off his teammates, and he's just gonna keep able to do that every single time they do try to throw out any type of lockdowns or stuns onto them. So immediately they force rotations back, and they're just gonna back up. They're happy with that, and they forced.
See if they scout out. Roche has just respawned. Could very much be the ticket that allows PSG.LGD to potentially even just close this game down.
Yeah, they've got a gem, so they're clearing out that vision around outside the pit. They've got high ground vision to keep tags of when Vici does come outside. Now they're going to start to walk toward them. They see DY trying to D-ward. They don't want him to.
That's the one grip that they want to get out of. Make sure there's no box, make sure there's no goal. There'll be a buyback coming out for DY immediately as the fight will continue. Yang is the focus for now, starting to stand himself in between himself and Ori, making sure Ori can get out the water drop, but X-Nova is able to force himself out. The serpent walks pretty much do nothing at all. X-Nova able to turn with the stun on a paparazzi. BKB now popped. Ori is making the move straight towards the Scorpion kills. They'll get X-Nova. He also having buyback ready to turn straight back towards the fight. They'll get towards X-Nova. They'll kill the two support. Now can they get the cause? Ame, BKB's pop, Metamorphosis is out. This is where the difficulty gets stepped up for Vici Gaming. Can they deal with this Terrorblade? The Glimmer K buys DY some sort of safety. Yang turning towards them, looking to push them back. A fatal one still upon the four of them. Torrent onto the two. PSG.LGD starting to back up. This will be a huge kill if Vici Gaming can find it. The stone control, it's there. The tackle, they found it. They'll take on their down. Vici Gaming finding the big bounty.
An instant buyback though from Ame. He wants to keep bringing the fight to them. Even FY bought back and X-Nova to try to join over there. How many buybacks total was this? Like 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 total buybacks coming out in this game. As Vici, they punch back on top of their shrine there, and like Roche is available.
It is.
Paparazzi.
Is anyone going to die back? That's the question. This could be a turning point in the game. Ame has to be careful.
There's no meta for 68 seconds. BKBs are at the ready.
You've got to push for this Vici Gaming. You know that this game is a rough one. It's a tough one. You've got to take anything that gets given to you. They have this timing. They're looking for Roche. PSG.LGD will be sure to try and contest it. They'll step in. Guns out to challenge. They're surrounded. BKB pop by Preparantes. He locks down. The focus on the challenge has the good control with the stabbing pop. He looks to try and chase down Ori. Ori's going to be the focus. A Glimmer K for DY keeps Ori safe. They turn. Stones out. Challenge is getting control. And the story goes on. Shield one. Sometimes it's not enough. Challenge. It's the 2 calls from 4. Vici Gaming. Paparazzi as well. Dies the one. Ame's on top of the Paparazzi gets the blink out off the back of the reincarnate. Sentry water wall in the vision to the dead without buyback available. X-Nova's got the lockdown on the side to finish off Fade as well. Vici Gaming, they took their chances. They tried for the Roshan. They now will start to fall like flies as there's no buyback for Yang, no buyback for Paparazzi. PSG.LGD know it's time to move straight towards the base, and GG, it's scored, this one's over.
That was some team fight coming out from LGD, just knowing how powerful they are and how they want to take the fight every single time. This Centaur seems so crucial to me. I know Celtics had this amazing game on the Conga, just getting these constellations. His damage is going to be probably through the roof on the Conga, but just being able to pick and choose the battles every single time.
I mean, absolutely.
They always found the right targets that they wanted to go for in the fights. DY was struggling so hard to find positioning.
This is sort of the terrifying PSG.LGD that you expect to see here in the upper bracket. No messing around, no mistakes to be made, no overextensions. Knowing the exact limits of their heroes, their draft, and playing in a way that it just seemed unbreakable. It was from what